Hi, Gabrielle. It's so nice to be here with you. I'm so excited to
So
launch
excited for this,
this
Sarah.
program. Yeah. So I'll just start off by saying what this series is going to be about. So this is a series that we've created. It's partly food and mood talks and the Empowered program that Gabrielle is launching. And our series is going to be eating from our empowered selves because we realize that it's not just about nutrition, it's not just about psychology. We needed to find a way that's integrating the mind and the body. And this is what we want to bring in with this series.
Yes, I am so excited to be here having these super powerful conversations with you. Quick introduction of who I am. My name's Gabrielle. I'm a registered dietitian and I have a program called the Wild Power Method. But I am launching a program within this method called the Empowered Program. And I got to having these conversations with Sarah just about what we were doing. We're just having casual conversations of, hey, what are you up to with your work? And what am I up to? And I was telling her how I do one-on-one work with clients where we really work on building your happiest and healthiest self. That includes, yes, what you're eating, but also your lifestyle, your habits, your routines, more like the science-backed, personalized side of nutrition. So really looking into gut health and hormones. But I also told her how much I've realized through my personal work with myself and where I have come from in terms of growing up with a really unhealthy relationship with food, really unhealthy eating habits when it came to comforting myself with food, ignoring lots of the psychological side of my health and the emotional side of my health, and covering it up a lot with like unhealthy approaches to my lifestyle and exercise routines and eating habits. Where that got me and the work I did myself and becoming a registered dietitian, it's heavily focused in the science and the nutritional science and the nitty gritty parts of macronutrients, micronutrients, and all the metabolic side of your health, which is all really important, right? But conventional nutrition ignores it. They separate the mind and body. And so I discovered that when I was doing my personal work on myself, because I knew all the things after going through 7 years of education and training they put you through to become a dietitian. We focus on all the body side of your health. So all the nitty gritty parts of nutrition and wellness, but they ignore the psychological on the spiritual side of nutrition and wellness. And so when I was doing the work on myself and then translating it and working with clients one-on-one, I realized the importance of addressing your spiritual health, your emotional health, your mental and behavioral health. And so I always try my best to incorporate that type of work in with my one-on-one clients. And then I started working with lots of people all over the country and realizing I really want to put this into a program. And so I started building the Empowered program so I can reach more people all over the country, all over the world, while taking this whole mind body approach. And I was telling Sarah about this and telling her about how important, of course, the nutritional side of it is, but also talking about all these gaps I had in my work when it came to the psycho spiritual side of nutrition. And then she was kind of telling me what she does. And it was almost like our conversation just ignited from there because we filled a lot of each other's gaps. And we realized that while I was putting together this program, she was launching the food and mood side of things. And we were like, we can come together in a really nice way where we have powerful conversations that are going to help individuals become their empowered selves, which is my goal in this program, while taking a holistic approach that really considers the science and the personalized nutrition, while also addressing the psycho-spiritual side of eating and mind-body health. And so we had this conversation, we had quite a few conversations about how powerful these conversations can be, but more importantly, to spread these conversations out and make sure people can hear what we're talking about and the importance of combining the two so that you can reach this empowered, healthy, happy, thriving self. So that's where I'm coming from and kind of how excited I am to be here with Sarah to have these conversations. But I'll hand it over to you, Sarah, to give a little bit more.
Yeah, I love it. I really enjoy speaking with you about these things because it's just so important. Like for me, it's all about stepping into our personal and metabolic power. But many times for us to really know that it's time to step into our personal power, we need to be very sure and feel safe with the information of our metabolic power, right? So like it's just really important also to like do this food therapy and understand like what is going on in our bodies, like getting some screenings, getting some tests done. And that is very much your work, like science-backed nutrition. And at the same time, when there is something that is preventing us from going forward, it's because it's not just about the food. So it's about the food, but it's also not just about the food. So that's also when it can allow us to feel like I need to look elsewhere as well, not just here, because my journey was a lot about fixating on the type of foods that I wanted to eat because I wanted to be respected by others, and I wanted others to know just how disciplined I am and how I'm earning my body. And it's not just like something that I'm blessed with, because I feel so blessed with having the life and the body that I'm at. But it's also about me having wanted to like win something for myself. So that's when I realized like it's this whole identity thing of me feeling I was looking for an identity with my food. And then I always had gut issues. And that is like what made me even more like perfectionist around what I'm eating, and just blame myself all the time, criticize myself, judge myself for whenever I would have a stomach ache, even though I was eating the foods that were right for me. So that's when I realized like there needs to be something different. I went to a doctor like the last of my tests, like I was already just completely beaten in my body. I was like almost anorexic. Like, I was just really struggling because I was so afraid of food. And then this doctor told me, he's like, yeah, it's a holistic thing. You need to do yoga, you need to do this, you need to do this, and you need to see a therapist because it's not about the food. And I got really upset because I felt so misunderstood. So I think that it's just really important that we start combining these things, because we want other people to feel understood. Because when we don't feel understood, we're going to feel crazy. We're going to feel like we're just creating drama from nothing. So looking at the mind body side of things is so important. Talking about these things is healing in and of itself. So one of my favorite definitions of like having a healthy body is having a healthy attitude. And for us to have a healthy attitude, it needs to feel real. It needs to feel authentic. It's not just come on, smile, put a smile on your face. So this is like really what we're going to be talking about. And now we'll share the goals. But my background is in psychotherapy and counseling and the psychology of eating. So I dedicate myself more to coaching instead of therapy, but it's like a deep coaching approach. It's about looking at what we want as our goals, like as we're moving forward in our life, and seeing like the obstacles in that and how we can unfold and work with that in a very tender and like the pace that needs to be taken.
And that's the thing is, we're both taking this root approach, right? So we're trying to get to the root cause of why people are where they're at right now. And like you were saying, that has to do with the metabolic side and maybe hormone and nutrient deficiency side, and what you're eating. But then it's also the root cause is what got you to where you're at right now with your mindset around food, your mindset around health, your mindset around your body, and getting to the root of that so we can create sustainable change. And so both your personal and professional experience really supports getting to the root of the psycho-spiritual side of what has gotten us to where we're at right now, while we combine it with the nutritional science side of it of, okay, on an internal side of the body, what is the root of your hormonal imbalances? What is the root of the constant headaches, the poor sleep, the slow metabolism, the poor skin health, the low energy? What is the root of all that on a body and a mind? So combining the two and looking, I think our work together really just puts the mind and body together instead of what conventional medicine does is constantly separating them. So yeah, we're both just so excited here to come here with our personal experience, which is the most important thing, is we can relate to all of you. We've both been through a lot of what you have all been through. So we can take that personal side and be able to relate to you, and then taking the professional side and combining it all. And so hopefully putting it all in one place so that it all just makes more sense. Because like Sarah was just saying, when I was doing gut health work with myself and with my clients, which is something I do specialize in, I was noticing, okay, let's do a gut health test. Let's see what's going on with your enzymes and all the science and the inflammation in your gut lining and your microbiome. Great. I get lab results of that, right? And I work through clients saying, let's do X, Y, and Z through diet, lifestyle, and supplements to help heal your gut. But then I was noticing that we would heal somebody's gut on that side of things through supplements, through diet. And then it got to the point where either we would plateau or, maybe sometimes take a few steps back and the bloating would come back, the digestive issues would come back. And the biggest issue was always that we weren't addressing the psychological side of things. So they were then becoming so scared of being bloated again or having digestive issues again, or they were so nervous about certain foods because it used to upset their stomach, that their mind was sending direct signals down their vagus nerve to their gut, causing bloating, causing digestive issues. So it doesn't matter how much nutrition support and scientific, the scientific approaches we took for personalized supplementation and healing the gut on that side of things, if we weren't addressing the psychological side of it, that was sending those direct signals down to the gut. And that's just one example of how powerful the mind-body connection is and why it's so important that, we're taking the wholesome and the nutritional side of things and combining it with the importance of the psychological side of things so that we don't just kind of cancel out all the hard work we just put in on the physical nutrition side. And so the Empowered program really embodies, I have a triangle that I show client, or a pyramid, where the bottom of the pyramid is your physical body. And that's a lot of the nutritional work we do. And then the middle of it is your environment. So your mental and physical environment. But then the top of it is your mind. So the psychological side of things. And making sure that we're looking at the whole pyramid as a whole to take a powerful, sustainable approach that is going to heal you and allow you to reach your goals, but then stick with them for good. So our goals of these conversations through Food and Mood, through the Empowered program, is to really provide individuals with the education, but then also bridging that education with the tools and approaches and mindsets you need to feel really, really empowered.
Yes, exactly. And because knowledge is just knowledge if it's separate from us and we're not embodying it. It's like, and I love what you were saying about, it's, like the foods that would cause pain before, and now maybe they're not causing pain, but there's still a fear around that. Like there's an egoic pattern there. There's a mental pattern of our character that was stuck into that fear already. And how do we let that go in a way that feels not like another fight, because this is struggling with food and body. It feels like a constant fight, it's like always a nightmare. And being like needing to have perfection with that is just another fight. So like when I shared, like the doctor told me you need to do all of these holistic things, like in paper it sounds amazing, but I was already doing all of them. And I was a yoga teacher. I was like literally like all of those fields were something so familiar to me. But it's like we also need to know that this is happening for the growth of us. And that's where the spiritual side of things come for me. It's because it's like it's not even just psychological, because we can get stuck in our pattern and just get stuck there, just like with the food. So it's like really bringing in and to empower ourselves to optimize like what we're eating and how it's going to be manifesting in our bodies, and how we can make sustainable change by looking at the root cause of things. And it's going to be so different for every person, because root cause is not just like getting to the bottom of like the analysis. It's more like what clicks for me, what is the area that life is asking me to grow into.
Exactly. And that takes a lot of sitting with ourselves and getting to know and breaking out of just the norm and living on autopilot and becoming more conscious and getting clear on what your purpose is, what success means to you, what your desires are. And all of that really does take time of sitting with ourselves, building consciousness, snapping out of autopilot so we can really understand what happiness and health looks like to us, and how we can get there through a sustainable approach, taking the whole mind body approach, and making sure that any little change we make, big or small, is something that we can then stick with for good and we feel empowered to. So that's where, like Sarah was just mentioning, tapping into that more spiritual side of things, is we are excited and we are fulfilled and we are looking forward to all these changes we're making, because it is getting us to a point where we feel our best mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm putting mute sometimes because I live in Mexico City and here it's like a folklore. You know, we have all of these people selling things, playing music. So it's just like all
Love
these
it. Love the energy.
yeah, and also one thing that's really important that we're going to go through in this program is how are we setting goals? Because a goal is kind of just, we can see it as just like a box that we set up there, but it's about that journey. And when we're disembodied from the journey, setting whatever goal is going to sound like a nice idea, but any little obstacle can throw us off track because maybe that's not the goal that we're after. So it's about having sustainable goals and being all on board, like all parts of ourselves, like really understanding why is it that we want this, and is this what we really want, and what's holding me back from that. So kind of really bringing all of ourselves and listening to all of our different thoughts and chatter and whatever, because this is all information of seeing where we're at.
And becoming more in tune with what your body's trying to tell you. Our bodies are so smart, but we often ignore them, or we're taught in society, media, or culture, just suppress it all, suppress the signs and symptoms, suppress the hunger, suppress the cravings. No, let's better understand what our body's trying to tell us. That's the goal. And the end goal of this whole series and the conversations, these powerful conversations Sarah and I really want to have for you to all be able to absorb, is to heal, is to grow, and to eat from our empowered selves. So we want to, yes, we want to understand better what our body's telling us, how we can honor that. And we want to build this beautiful lifestyle that allows us to continue to heal, because there's no, in my opinion, there's no end goal. There's no end outcome. It's building a lifestyle that allows you to embody all of this, continue to heal, continue to grow into these empowered versions of ourselves, so we can just feel incredible mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all the things.
Yeah, and I love doing this work and I'm so happy to be here with you, honestly, because many times, like, we go unconscious, right? Like, we go asleep because there's so much pain in the background that we don't even notice this pain, but it just starts like with the food obsessions. And I noticed that, like, because it's about staying awake, staying conscious, and staying looking at what's going on. And just the speaking in this conversation, it just keeps on reminding me of like the hell that I was once in that I thought I would never leave. It literally is just uncovering different parts of ourselves. It's like a blooming flower, and
Yes.
being able to talk about these things and realizing that we're not stuck there is everything.
And I'm so excited to have these conversations, because I think these conversations aren't happening enough. So people just sit there with their own thoughts and behaviors and habits, and get stuck in this vicious rut where they just keep building these crazy goals that aren't aligned with their true desires and purpose, and then they can't reach them because they're not getting to the root of them. Maybe they're unaligned with their true intentions, and then they fall back into that rut. And then, oh, Monday's here, let's try it again. And then they become obsessive because, like you said, we obsess over food, we obsess over these unrealistic goals because we don't have a clear vision of what we want and how to get there in the best possible way for our whole mind and body's health. So I'm so excited to be here to have these conversations because they are needed all over the world. And I'm truly honored for anyone and everyone that's here listening. And I'm excited to take you along with us.